launch right into our this or that tonight. I'm going to give you the facts on two watches. Jason is going to pick the one he would rather own, but there's a catch. Tonight, this is Monday Mailbag, so this is actually a user-submitted this or that. I want to thank Ariza L. from Mexico, who specifically asked us about tonight's Steel Pilot's watches. That's right, we are comparing the IWC Big Pilot's watch versus the Breguet Type XXI 3817. So, in terms of price, they're surprisingly close, despite being relatively disparate in their design and dimensions. So let's start with the IWC Big Pilot's watch. This is the 5009-12, originally released in the latest year of the Pilot's watch, 2016. That was at SIHH. The watch is still 46 millimeters across the round. It still has a 10 millimeter diameter crown. It's still 16 millimeters thick. Restored some of the Gen 1 features that people loved in the original 5002. You can see the progression from the 5002 to the 4 to the 9, and the 912 being the latest version. You can see that the numeral 9 on the dial has returned, and the double dot triangular index at 12 likewise has returned. We have images of those two features right there for a little bit of a detail close-up. It's a watch that benefits from some close reading because there are subtle distinctions between generations. Now, this generation transitions to a pilot-specific riveted calfskin strap, which is a bit different after years of alligator, more appropriate for a pilot's watch, full steel deploying clasp, tri-motor case back. This one actually has robust anti-magnetism because of a soft iron inner cage. The flip side of that is you don't get to see the movement. You see a Junkers Ju-52 back there, which is kind of fun because IWC supports vintage aircraft, including a 52, and it's powered by the caliber 51111, automatic winding with a 7-day power reserve, free sprung with the Breguet overcoil. It's accurate and it's shock resistant. That also because of the Peloton pawl-based winding system, which is both efficient and fairly shock resistant for an automatic system. Of course, hacking seconds, quick set date, IWC's own in-house movement. It is the world's largest automatic winding caliber to this day. 60 meters water resistant, so not truly an aquatic watch, but very anti-magnetic, $12,900 US. Okay, so another aviator watch from, believe it or not, a similar historic thread as the IWC draws on the history of the BR, a 1940s Luftwaffe pilot's watch. This is Breguet drawing on the history of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s Type 20 and Type 21 designs. Originally commissioned by French aeronautical military forces in the early 1950s. 1954 was the first year the Aéronaval requested a flyback chronograph. Now this watch actually came out in 2016, the reference 3817, 42 millimeters in stainless steel, about 15 millimeters thick. This is a watch that is notable for a few upgrades aesthetically, including the slate dial with the chocolate-colored simulated vintage patina and oversized Arabic numerals. Same treatment on the hands. This is calfskin with a full steel clasp, so a deluxe strap and buckle. It features a flyback chronograph, again with real history dating back to 1954, not quite as old as the IWC, but again a real tradition. It's not a made-up watch. It also features a useful radial minutes display. If you look at it from the side, you can actually see the minute in the second hand for the chronograph at the center of the dial overlapping, making it really easy to read. And yes, it's a flyback. It features a rotating bezel that adds yet another measure of ease of timing, two concurrent events now versus the IWC, and of course a modified caliber 580-42 based on an old LaMagna. Now, for the first time in this model, with the display case back, free sprung with a silicone hairspring, 48-hour power reserve. It doesn't hack, but it does have a quick set date, and of course it's a flyback, rose lathe engraved rotor. 100 meters water resistant, so it's more aquatic than the IWC. $13,900, so $1,000 dearer and 4 millimeters smaller. Which one would you buy as your everyday watch?
So, Ariza, great question. Although I gotta say this is too easy. Next time we'll do a little bit harder. For me, hands down, I mean, just look at that case back. Hands down has to be the Breguet. Gorgeous watch. I actually, so the 3817, since it came out, it's so warm. That dial, that slate dial, that watch, since it came out, I've actually thought about owning it for myself a few times. Just can't quite get there on price, but I think if you compare that to the IWC, and knowing myself, generally I will tend to go towards the non-complicated timepieces, you know, like the sub and the Panerai. I prefer a cleaner look. But this Breguet. There's just something about this specific reference of this Breguet that's always done it for me. I love the watch, and I actually want one for myself. And not knock against IWC, but I don't think you can compare it. The flyback chrono, exhibition case back, that bezel, that dial, for me, it's a winner.
Yeah. This is an incredible watch because on so many levels it just connects. 42 millimeters is a versatile size. It's a pilot's watch, but it's also 100 meters water resistant. It's got a bulletproof old La Manna caliber in there that Chuck Maddox spent years of his life writing about. He wrote love letters to this movement, and he was effectively the authority in cam-style modern chronograph calibers. But it's also been hot-rodded with hand finishing, modern enhancements like the free-sprung architecture, like the silicone hairspring. There's a lot going for this watch. It's beautiful on both sides, and I have to admit that it's the first Breguet Type 20 or 21 that I could ever actually see myself wearing. Yeah. It's got style and it's got soul, and again, it's not a what-if watch. This is real history, just like the IWC.
Yeah. It's handsome, it stands out, it's definitely a winner on the wrist, and versatile size, like you said. I think the Big Pilot suffers from a lot of people not being able to wear the watch, so the 42 is perfect.
All right, so let's see what you guys had to say. All right, so I can see that Cam joining a little late saying hi, Simon Holt. All right, Get Out of the John Boy saying the IWC looks cheap like a Seiko. I'm not sure I would consider all Seikos cheap looking. The IWC does have a look that's unfortunately become generic because it's almost become a parody of itself because it's been so widely copied. I can see right here, Watch Yoda is saying he would take the Type 20 or Type 21 because it's not as common. Also, Breguet is a step up in finish and spec, and that's certainly the case. AMG, our friend, also brothers in arms with Mercedes-Benz fans out there, he's a fan of the Big Pilots, and I can see right here we have a comment from Simon Holt saying, what is the Breguet like on the secondary market? Do you have any insight? Like, I think the IWC is probably stronger.
You would think. I like the Breguet all day long. I'd put my money in that watch before I did the IWC. I think there's quite a big bit of Big Pilots out there on the market, and while it might not be this specific Big Pilot, there's so many limited edition Big Pilots out there that it kind of becomes very hard to become interested in buying one or selling one for that matter. So I think the Breguet has that feel to it that makes the watch special. When you hold the watch, it feels special, which in turn makes it easier to sell and trade.
And I would also say this, if you wanted to make the best play for resale value in a modern Breguet bought new, it would be this model. A steel sports watch from a bedrock collection that's been around forever. This is their, I'm not going to say it's their version of the 5711 because there's no comparison, but in terms of retained value, this is about as good as it gets in Breguet.
Yeah, it's definitely their rock star.
And also I can see Simon Holt saying his comment about the Breguet on the secondary market, it's as strong as Breguet gets. Not maybe quite as strong as the IWC, but Jason says it might actually draw even. Ryan Mann saying Breguet definitely. Russell 996, Breguet gets my votes. Sebastian Palacios saying Pilot's watches are designed to be simple, easy to read. Anything else inspired in Pilot's watches, but not the historic design. AMG saying Big Pilot's watches are all about legibility. So he votes for the IWC. Todd Piasecki, Breguet on this day. Edouard saying the Breguet all the way. And of course we have a comment from Eric Nielsen, our friend from Europe, definitely the Breguet. Ryan Mann loving the coined edge on the Breguet. Andrew Holt, he likes the IWC Big Pilot Top Gun Perpetual Calendar. Not an option in this particular this or that, but a good choice.